So this video is going to be partly an update on the progress or lack thereof, depending on your point of view, on the 53 TD. Also a bit of an update on why you haven't been seeing quite as many videos from me lately. We're going to start with the TD. So in the last video, I still had all of this apart. Well, we got all the wood in there now, almost all the bolts in, just have a couple to do for holding the steering column in place. And we got the cowl back on, and everything is a whole lot more even across here, about as even as I could get it. Now we still have to put the bonnet on there and double check to make sure everything's lining up perfectly down the center. But I ended up taking the radiator off because we needed to put a new hose on here and it was mounted incorrectly. So yeah, more taking things apart. That seems to be the theme of the day, every day on this car. But once we get that mounted back up, make sure everything is good, then I can start putting the bolts in all of the body mounts. So I think I've said in the past that the owner of this car does want seat belts put in there. So I had seat belt brackets that I'd already made previously. They are patterned after the patterns within the Horst Shop book. If anybody knows who that is, that's supposed to be one of the Bibles of TD restoration. So we got these brackets here that get welded in right here. So I got those welded in. And then you drill a hole through here on either side, and that's where the inside brackets go. These will be the outside brackets. They'll go right here, and that makes you a 2-point harness. If you want a 3-point harness, there's also another diagram in the book for a bracket that goes right here for a 3-point harness. This guy had said something about a 3-point harness, but within his parts, we got 2 points. So I guess I got to double check with him on that and which way we're actually going to go. So like I said, we keep coming up with missing bits here and there throughout the process of everything I'm doing on this car. While I had the firewall apart, where I found out I was looking at the steering column and I realized that the little bearings were not in either end of the steering column. Now, they're not really bearings per se. They are pieces of felt that then get soaked in oil and then they go into here and they act as bearings. But on the part that sticks out below the firewall here, there's supposed to be a cap. Well, that cap was missing. Couldn't find it anywhere in none of his bits. While these are easy enough to order, you have to make that if you're missing it. So I made one. So we got one to put on here. So now I can soak those, put them all together, put the steering column back in place, drill for the 2 holes that go through here, and actually get that mounted now. Okay. So meanwhile, between ordering parts and waiting on things as I'm going along, I'm still trying to get something done in other ways. So I got all the wiring strung back through again and I'm starting to wire up all of this stuff. But normally you figure this would be mounted on this hole up here, but this wiring harness simply is not long enough for that to go over there. But there is another hole underneath here that it can mount to, so we'll be mounting it to there, but we want to wire it all up while you can see it easy here. And I also decided I wanted to try to put the exhaust system on before I put floorboards in. But as I started trying to run the exhaust, I was able to find the rear hangers and the center hangers, but I cannot find the front hanger. So I'm going to have to order one of those now. Now since this thing is getting the supercharger on it, which here's the bracket from the kit, you can't put this horn in place because the carburetor is right here and the air cleaner is right here. So I'm using one of those bolt holes. I got a P-clip and a little spacer from, it actually came out of the parts pile from an MGB to hold the line in place, and I put another one here that will go on the bolt that goes through here when we're done. and redid all the line. So it starts from here and work your way back so it reaches the fuel pump and the fuel tank now, rather than just one end and not the other. Now my customer did actually end up telling me, yes, he had the carbs that came off this thing. This is what came off of it. I have never seen a set of these on a T-Series before. These are Rochesters, single barrels. So this would be from like a Chevy or Oldsmobile or something from back in the day. And it appears to be a kit from someplace in California. I don't know if I'm going to end up trying to use these to get this thing running or not, but I wanted to at least be able to put the manifold in place so we can clamp all this and run the exhaust. But I cannot find any of the clamps in any of his stuff, so we're going to have to come up with a set of those now. Now, like I said, I may try to use this to get the engine running initially, or I do have a set of MGA carbs, I believe, in my part stash that I may hang on this thing to get it running to bed the engine in. So constantly having to dig through the parts all the time to look for little bits here and there, and then stop to order things, and then moving to the next thing and finding more issues. This thing has been going very slowly. But in addition to that, there's other things that have been going on that partially pertain to this channel and don't pertain to the channel that I've been spending my time on. So I have been taking a little bit of time to try to get a little bit more organization, because I feel like we're clustered in here a little bit and there's too much disorganization, and I need to get a handle on that. But also, there's a number of things that I need to be working on that have been on hold since I moved here that I just need to start working on. I haven't even moved into the master bedroom yet of my new house because of not having enough time to sit and get all of the drywall work that needs to be done completed. So I've decided it's time for me to start working on some of this other stuff. And in my daily driver, it's actually been waiting 6 months for me to do the brakes on it, for me to take the time to work on my own stuff. But in addition to that, we've got a mother-in-law suite that's part of the property that we've been trying to figure out what we're going to do with. Now, we've been working on that, getting it ready to try to use it for storage for some of this stuff. So this building started out as a garage, and then the previous owner had actually remodeled it first into an office and then into a mother-in-law suite for his mother-in-law. But it had been sitting empty for a couple years before I bought it. Now, I originally thought about trying to fix this place up and rent it out for a little extra income. But the more I looked at it and the more I dug into it, the more I realized it was a lot more money and time needed to put into this place to be able to do that than I thought. So we decided we're going to make storage out of it. Don't worry about none of this stuff. This is just temporary. So we've been trying to get rid of all the carpet out of here because this thing been closed up for a couple of years, and the mother-in-law had cats that peed all over the place. So there was kind of a stench in this place. So we've been trying to get rid of all the carpet, get all tack strips up, and we've been working on trying to seal all the concrete with something to try to get rid of the smell. But this is what we're doing in here. This room here is going to be used just for storage of our parts for our project cars. So this shelf here is actually just a miscellaneous shelf at the moment. It's got some van parts on it. Got a few parts for the bug eye. We're not going to talk about what's in that box yet. That's some fun for the future. And we got a couple bits for the Green Phoenix here. We haven't brought the rest of the parts up yet for that. So we got stuff from the Riley here. Got some Project Ginsu on this shelf. Yeah, That project is still going to happen. It's just been on hold for a while. And this is the MGA Fastback. Yeah, that's also been on hold. And then this is for those, like the TR7 we bought, the extra parts that came with that, and the parts that came with the Alfa Romeo, and then an LT1 I got, the extra bits are here. So me trying to do 2 videos a week for as long as I have, that takes a lot more time than most people realize, which has not left me quite enough time to get all this other stuff taken care of. So I've been trying to work on some of the other stuff and put out a few less videos. So that's pretty much why you haven't been seeing quite as much from me lately.